You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. But one thing I've always noticed is you're always very driven and always very determined. And I hope you don't mind me talking about it. I remember there was probably about a year ago, we were both sat at an event and we were talking about getting this podcast booked in. And I remember thinking, I'll message you and reach out to you. And I think the day after I saw an announcement on social media saying that you'd had a stroke.
Yeah.
And I remember being sat there going, what? And the reason I'm mentioning it now is because I don't think failure challenge ever stops.
Yeah.
Like, you've now nailed it. You've got a fantastic business. You've got a great podcast. I mean, you were number one in entrepreneurship for a while, right? Like, you've done so well with your podcast, 7-figure tree surgery business, and then a stroke. I mean, tell us a bit about that and how that sort of helped you where you are now. Luckily, you're sat here and I've never seen you healthier, to be fair.
Yeah.
But sort of tell us about that journey.
Oh man, it was completely out of the blue, to be fair. Like last year, like since quitting alcohol and then realizing my highest value is my family, and wanting to spend as much time with them. Esme and Ned are 8 and 5. Esme's amazing. She is a natural born leader, very determined. She's going to take over the world. Ned's going to be a Premier League football player. He wants to play every day. He's left footed and already playing with like 8-9-year-olds and wiping up with them. So
like father, like kids.
Yeah. And I love them to bits. So the last couple of years I've wanted to spend lots of time with them and be really healthy. Like, my whole thing is around self-preservation. I've not been kind to my body over the years with drugs and then stressful businesses and being overweight and all that kind of stuff. But actually, funny enough, last year I was the healthiest I've ever been, and I worked the least I've ever worked last year. I was busy. Like, at the beginning of the year, I've got a lot of stuff going on, podcasts, multiple businesses. My whole thing sat with Shari. We were talking about Shari earlier. At the beginning of the year was to be able to do less. But I took a month off in the summer. I'd been on multiple holidays. I was all about the family. So when October, I think it was 6th or 9th came along, and I woke up in the morning, went to go for a run, walked down the stairs, felt very faint. Sarah almost had to catch me. 15 minutes, I couldn't see my phone. It was like I'd been drinking again. So long story short, I ended up in hospital in A&E with them telling me they found something in my head. And it could be a cyst or a tumor or something. So I had 3 days while they were doing some tests on me where I just thought that I had 3 months left to live. Really morbid, but I was just thinking, I was begging with life to give me 15 more years so the kids didn't have their lives disrupted and they could like have a dad and all that kind of stuff. And then after 3 days they told me, oh, you've had a light stroke. And I was like, great. And the doctor was like, what are you happy about that? I was like, because trust me, I've been to a dark place now. But what that did is it just gave me more perspective of what I want in life. And I've chased money, I've chased success, and I'm still determined for that. But my idea of success is the amount of time I get to spend with my family, and it made me just put life into perspective more about we're just chasing something. Or like I've hit so many of my goals, and I keep moving the goalposts through my life. Like, if you asked 16-year-old Henry, failed GCSE Henry now, like, this is what you're going to have by the time you're 40, I'd have hit my hand off for it. But I still some days wake up and go, I'm not where I want to be in life. But having the stroke has made me go, like, I just want to be able to spend great time with family and friends, and have a balance in life more. And it was very strange feeling having a stroke, but it just helped me put things in perspective. And now I seem back to being healthy again. So it's just a little bump in the road.
That's one of the things I find fascinating about you, Henry. Like, when I saw you recently, a couple of months ago, and I was like, did you not have a stroke like 6 months ago? You're just very committed. But the one thing I've noticed is every time you go through something, you always think about the other people.
Yeah.
Staff, family, you're always very committed for other people. And I think that's one of the reasons you do so well in all of your businesses. And I can really relate to the whole concept of, I'm not where I want to be. There's always other places, and I hate to say it, sometimes we do get signs that take us and show us, actually, hold on, careful, know, you're in the right track now. Obviously you talked about the book that stood out to you. When's your book going to be coming out?
It's a great question. It's something that I would love to do, is to talk, but I think I need to get the headspace for it. But yeah, I think that's something that's going to happen in the next couple of years. A fail forward book.
Yeah. What do you think you would love to share in the book the most? Like if you were to write any book, what book would you write?
I think it's just really trying to still promote the failure and to really talk into people's egos and understand that we can put the ego to one side and really learn from it. I still get people now always saying to me, but I've never failed. And, you know, I know you talk about fail forward, Henry, but I've always been brought up in a world where like I don't have a choice to not fail. And I just think, well, maybe you've just not come to that yet and you probably don't even see it. So I just would probably tell a bit more of my story and just really talk around how as society we can really learn from failure and really talk around the mental health side of things and the perfection, and everyone's trying to chase this perfection all the time, this perfect body, perfect business, perfect life, that like it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be what you want, not living in other people's lives. Like we get so caught up in other people's dreams and trying to really talk to people and understand that you just got to live the life that you want to live and be happy with that.
Yeah, so much. I love that. I think sometimes it's also giving yourself permission, isn't it? To be like, my life is actually good and I'm happy.
Yeah.
I remember when, I think it was about 3 years ago maybe, we were on track for about 700,000 revenue. And my mentor said to me, no, Chloe, you can get to 1 million this year. And I thought, no, I don't need 1 million. I'm quite happy. Like I didn't even want 700. I was like, I'm actually quite good. Like I used to have this thought of 7-figure business, 7-figure problems. That was always in my mind, which sometimes is true, but still.
Yeah.
And I remember stretching myself to work out numbers person, what would need to happen to get to the 1 million then. And even just the thought of the extra stretch, I completely burnt out. And actually we didn't even go to 700. I think we maybe got to 350 that year because of just the pressure to get to where my mentor thought I could get to.
Yeah.
I wasn't just listening to myself and being assertive with myself and going, no, Chloe, this is what you want. Like, this is my perfect and it's good. Like, this is what I'm happy with.
Yeah.
Instead, I was getting carried away what other people think. And I think there's a risk in, particularly in business and entrepreneurship, I don't know if you agree, Henry, there's a risk that we're going to get carried away and, oh, that person's doing that, then I should do that.
Yeah, I see that all the time and I get caught up in it. I scroll through LinkedIn, I go to business events and I get caught up in what I think other people think that I should have. Our egos get caught up in that. And it does lead to burnout. It's led to burnout. I've burnt out so many times and I don't burn out so much anymore because you got to learn when to just go. Because I think the self-development world is amazing. Like I'm so much better off for being in the self-development world than the Henry that wasn't before. But also there's a big caveat into that. And my biggest caveat is making sure that the business mentors, coaches and people you're around are genuinely interested in your wants and needs, and it's not to get them to get their status to be able to then go, oh, I've got this many 7-figure businesses, and to find people that are on the path that you want, because I see so many business mentors and coaches that aren't always, their integrity isn't always the best for you and your business. They're doing it for their own needs. So I think it's just understanding that and not getting caught up in the social media world. I do it all the time still, where I scroll through and I'll see another really successful tree surgery business who's got loads of kit and it will instantly make me feel inferior. And then that's why I always question people when they say my goal is X, and I'm like, what's your goal? Are you sure does that align with your values? Does that align with what you really want to do? Because it's easy to get caught up in going, but everyone else has got all this big kit, so I want that. Well, do you really? What is it you really, really want? Well, actually, I just want some more time with my family. Okay, so you don't want all that because that's not going to get you more time with your family. I always say to people, like, people say, I want to have lots of success. Well, what does that look like? Okay, so what are you willing to sacrifice? Because there's always a sacrifice. And that sacrifice could be time. It could be lots of money. It could be lots of different things. But I think the more success that you want, there is a sacrifice of time, and it's not always how big. And this is the ego that gets involved again. And I think, like, it's cool. I've got some guys that I mentor now that want to have 100 staff and they want to have 8-figure businesses, and we've checked in with them and made sure that's what they really want. And once they want to go there, we'll help them get there. But you've always got to check in with, really, does it align with your values and what you want?